they see some like Buddhist swastika, and they're like, oh, they're Nazis. Like that was there 1,000 years ago. Like they're not Nazis. And so that's what I mean, is that will break out at some point. Now, how is it going to break out? Because it's a very powerful image. It's something that is, it's a cosmic image. It's very, very powerful. It's as if someone tried to trap the cross, right? And someone said, oh, the Crusaders used the cross, and that's a horrible thing they did. And so now no one can use the cross anymore because it's infected. It's like, well, that's not going to happen. At some point, you can't trap it. You can't make it in that story. The Nazis can't do it, and the people that hate the Nazis can't do it. At some point, it's going to break out. Now, the question is, how is it going to break out? Is it going to break out in a way that's going to, like I said, is going to be like a door for all the demons to come out? Or can we reintegrate it in a way that would just slowly reintegrate it back into our culture, like we're reintegrating like the shadow of, in Jungian terms, like we're just basically trying to kind of reintegrate this slowly so that it doesn't completely explode us,
So if you took a 10,000-year view and you thought about it in those terms, fast forward, looking back, I can imagine these sort of symbolisms could fade away. But we're at an 80-year view, and it just doesn't it seem a bit soon to have to do that?
It might be. The only reason why I'm talking about this is because I can see it shaking, and that's why.
Because it's happening.
It's already happening.
It's happening.
And I think that Kanye's song is an example of that, where he, in his paradox, like he's such a contradictory person. Like in his own mind, he seems like he's not. He has these contradictions in his mind, and so he is taking like KKK imagery as a black man, and is like reintegrating it into his own aesthetic. He's taking Nazi imagery and he's kind of reintegrated in a way that is completely paradoxical. It's weird when the song came out and everybody was saying it's a Nazi song. I'm like, have you listened to the song? That's not a Nazi song. Like in the first verse, he talks about that he's a cuck and that he likes to watch people, bang his wife. And then he says the Hitler. It's like, no, that's not Nazism. I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, it's not Nazism, but it's like a weird, paradoxical, contradictory thing that is just bubbling up, through his. I always see him as a kind of a tuning fork, right? He just starts to vibrate in the shape of the culture, you could say, And I knew, like, when Kanye converted to Christianity, quote unquote, now at this point, I was like, oh, wow, I guess we're going to see a bunch of Christians now. And that's what happened, right? All of a sudden, you had this wave of Christian people like coming into the church. And then when he started playing with like Nazi imagery, I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, yay, come on, man. But in some ways that's what's it's like like I said, it's just kind of happening,
So when you talk about the symbol of the crucifix, obviously it's in a way it's the most genius symbol there is. I can understand what it's loaded with, not just Christian symbolism, but it's the shape of a man, it's the shape of suffering. It is everything that happened in that cross is symbolized by the crucifix. But and I don't understand. I know a little bit about the swastika. It's a rotation, but I'm not sure. I don't understand what it. So pre-Nazi, I don't know what that symbol means and why it's been found across so many different cultures and across time. What about it resonates with the human soul, the human imagination?
Yeah, well, I think, first of all, it is a cross. Like the symbol of the cross, of the plus sign, is extremely satisfying. It connects to the human being at a very, very deep level, because it's kind of experienced as the relationship between verticality and horizontality, right? Just in terms of your experience. The difference between the sky and the ground, these are very primordial experiences. And so it's an abstracted version of that. And it has a center. That's really important. The imagery of the center in human culture, it becomes in some ways, it's the reference point right? So you have something that's a reference point, and then you have extensions of that reference point. You have the four directions. You have, however you want to think about it. You can think about yourself. You're standing here. You're the reference point. And then you have in front of you, behind you, left, right. Those are our directionalities, right? So the world is separated into four quadrants like that. But then with the swastika, what it has that's so powerful is that because the cross changes directions, and it goes up and then it flips, what it suggests is motion, right? So it's basically you have an image that contains in itself both centrality, right? So the reference point, the extension of that reference point, and the way in which it changes. So that's why it's such a cosmic image, because it actually is universal. It has everything in it, right? It has, like I said, it has the center, it has the influence of the center, and then it has the way the center changes. And that's what makes it, I mean, it's obviously I'm trying to justify something that I'm trying to understand why that symbol is so important, but I'm not exhausting why it's so important, because it just is. It's just everywhere. And it's just, it's probably connected very deeply to even the way we perceive. There are certain shapes that resonate with us. Like another shape that's like that is something like a vertical with a wave around it. So you have a vertical image and you have a wave on it. And it's like, so that's like the pole and the snake. It's represented in different ways, and that's everywhere, right? So again, you find it in South America, you find it in Christianity, you find it in every culture. You have this image that kind of
in medicine, right?
Yeah. So I think that these are just very, very deep images that appeal to very, very deep mechanisms of human perception, and the swastika is definitely one of those.
Okay.
So it's attractive, right? Like if you look at the image in itself,
it's not been attractive to me.
But I mean, just visually,
yeah, right?
Like I'm not saying that it's attractive because it's a Nazi thing, but when you look at it and you see it, it's a satisfying image,
right?
I mean, I know it's hard, especially if you're not like visually inclined. It's maybe hard to experience that because you're like, well, this is a horrible, symbol of evil. But for example, like in terms of aesthetics, the swastika is far more powerful than the hammer and sickle because it's far more universal. Right, the hammer and sickle, they were able to capture something powerful, but the swastika, they basically took they were smart. They took the oldest image in the world and they tried to co-opt it for their evil purposes.
Yeah, and what is the symbol of them reversing the symbol, the act? Because they put it in reverse.
No,
right?
They didn't. They didn't put it in reverse. They put it on its side. They made it instead of a cross, they made it into an X. Right, so they twisted it. There are probably versions of that existed before the Nazis did it. Usually we see a swastika as a cross with it, but I mean, their particular version is that it's more an emphasis on rotation, But the thing is that it's perfectly coherent to what they were doing, because you could say that the image of a swastika is an image of an axis in motion, right? It's like the center of a wheel and a wheel that's turning around it. And that's what they were. They were overemphasis on identity, right? They were a kind of an overemphasis on authority, an overemphasis on centrality, right? That's their sin, right? Their sin is the sin of identity. It's like, it's pride, right? Pride in the sense of, I think my race is the greatest and I'm willing to do anything in order to assert that. I think that my history is the greatest and I'm willing to assert anything, do anything to assert that. It's like, that's the sin, that's their sin, and it's very mythologically, it makes sense because it's the opposite to the globalist sin, right? To the international sin that the communists were making, which is that everything is the same, everything is equal, there's no hierarchy, there's no authority, we're all, obviously, that was a lie because they couldn't do it. But that was at least the narrative that they told themselves. We're gonna just level everything, make everything flat, right? And so you have this even in the way we think about it, like the difference between an axis and allies. One emphasizes multiplicity, allies, and one emphasizes unity, axis, right? And so it's just mythologically inscribed in the entire story, everywhere in the story, this relationship between, you could say, identity and one and many, right? The relationship between the one and the many is inscribed in like the whole story. But at a normal level, you need a balance of both of those, right? You need to actually have you
need unity and diversity.
Exactly. Like, so you need the king and the jester. You need a sense of authority and tradition and connection to the past, but you also need to be able to adapt it to diversity and to welcome the stranger and to do all of these things that societies have always done in the past. But now what we've done is we've radicalized those two elements and we've created this insane, right-left dichotomy, that becomes untenable.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.